So, we both drove an Infiniti and an Alfa Romeo.
We did.
So I think we should talk about it.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about. We'll start with the Alfa Romeo because we'll just go with alphabetic order. So we'll say Alfa Romeo Stelvio, and then
Okay.
Infiniti QX50. That's right
Deal.
now.
Hi, I'm Kristen,
And I'm Aaron.
and this is the Drive Mode Show.
So we're going to talk about luxury crossovers. These are
Yes.
in the, I believe, mid-size market, right? We're starting out with the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, and then we'll talk about the Infiniti QX50. We're not going to compare them, we're just going to talk about them because both of us have driven them. So we'll start with that Alfa. You had the, did you say TI Lusso?
I had the T-Lusso, yeah.
Okay. And I had the Quadrifoglio, which is way more fun to say. Just saying.
It is. Quadrifoglio.
Italian.
Bling.
She just went to the dentist. Okay, so what were your impressions of the Alfa?
I remember the first time I drove the Stelvio was at a Texas Auto Writers event a couple years ago, and I was so excited. And I don't know what trim it was. I was just excited to be driving an Alfa Romeo. And we drove it around town. You know, it was at the truck rodeo, but we didn't take it on the track. But it was really fun, and I thought it had a great drive. Now, when I had this most recent T-Lusso, I had those memories in my head, and I was a little bit disappointed to find that the auto start stop was so jarring. It was really jarring, like it jolted, and the shift points weren't as smooth as I would have hoped. I mean, it had 280 horsepower. It was still a nice drive. It was still beautiful inside, and the T-Lusso is all leather, so it's nicely equipped.
And those beautiful Alfa wheels. The big shamrock looking, beautiful, beautiful wheels. I think every Alfa has those.
The wheels are spectacular.
Yeah. I call them please don't steal me wheels. The good news being that they don't fit on any other vehicle. So
True.
if you're stealing them, it's because you're going to put them on an Alfa. So I drove I believe it was the Lusso version at an ice drive event. That would have been almost a year now because that was in about February of 2018. And I didn't like it because I was out there to try to skid and spin and you know, throw rooster tails of snow and stuff like that, and it would not do any of that. It was so careful about staying in track and staying on line and not sliding and not moving. It wasn't the most stable SUV I've ever driven in snow and ice, but it was up there in the top 5. I had to really do stupid things to make it slide. And that was just to get a power slide in the snow, which shouldn't be hard.
Not that you would do that in a car.
So, right, well, normal people, they don't try to do that. I was attempting it because we had a giant empty parking lot full of snow. It was good times.
That's pretty fun.
So that was my first impression of it. I liked the quirky layout of the controls. It's a very Alfa layout, the start-stop buttons on the steering wheel and the, just little things. I loved the way that the infotainment is integrated with the dash, so it doesn't look separate or add-on or extra. It looks like it's supposed to be there. I didn't necessarily like the interface. I think Alfa, they missed an opportunity when they could have integrated Chrysler's Uconnect, which is easily the best in the business right now for user interface. They could have integrated that, and it would have made it a much better experience. But then spending the week in the Quadrifoglio, which has bigger engine, it's 505 horsepower?
505.
It's turbos and muscle and sound and feels really good. It wants to sprint out of every light. It's just a fun drive and solid. You turn corners, you're moving around. It it stays in place and moves. It doesn't. There's no no serious body roll, none of that. It just was a very, very good experience. So much so that I would say if you're going to buy one, spend that, what is it, an extra year of car payments?
It's an extra 30 grand. Yeah, but it's totally worth it. I was just going to say the same thing. If you're going to buy the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, go for the Quadrifoglio. Then you'll get the whole Alfa experience. It's really worth it.
Yeah. The same thing goes with the little Giulia with the car. The Giulia is a beautiful, beautiful sedan.
It is.
But without that, when you just have that, I think it's a 2-liter turbo, when that's all you have with it, you lose a lot.
Yes, I agree. I think that if you're going to go for the Alfa Romeo Giulia, which is a gorgeous car, and it has a wonderful drive, that you need to go for the Gusto and get the full enchilada, if you will. Get the big engine.
The next one we wanted to talk about was the QX50, so the Infiniti.
Yes.
Infiniti redid this car for 2019. So if you remember, the previous version was very sporty. Had a very fastback look to it. It was a little bit smaller. Didn't have the interior space that you would expect in that market in a midsize crossover. It was somewhat cramped, not much cargo. It was made to go fast, like that. They were aiming for the sporty buyer, so they really wanted it to be sporty, and they totally nailed that. The problem was that it's a limited number of sales there. And so anyway. So I think Infiniti rethought it, and they went to a larger and a little more versatile market, right? So they're trying to hit a broader portion of the market, and I think they hit it pretty well. I think they did a good job. And it lost weight even though it got bigger. That's weird. But they did a lot of stuff to make it lose weight, too.
Weight.
So
Maybe it went on a keto diet.
Yeah.
Maybe it went on a keto diet.
It's eating nuts and twigs and whatever's. So,
trendy.
So one thing that we talked about was you really liked the dual screens, and I did not. Talk about that.
I did, and I had the QX50 for a month this summer when I went up to Indiana and visited my parents. So I drove my mom and my dad and my son around in it quite a bit, and my mom was really impressed with the dual screen. And it doesn't work the same way as the Ram 1500 dual screen, but it has a similar function, and I like that you can have the nav on the top and still see like your radio session, because we're such audio people, you and I are. You know, I like to be able to know like what song is playing, what station do I have on, what time is it, what's the temperature. I like to see all those things as well as the nav. And I don't like it when the screen makes you choose one or the other, because sometimes you need multiple pieces of input to know what's going on. So I really liked it. I thought that the QX50 was a spectacular crossover. I really enjoyed it. I didn't want to give it back. I think it's the perfect car if you want a crossover and you want elegance too. It was smooth in every way that you can think of, and I thought the drive was flawless.
See, and for me, I didn't like the dual screen because I feel like there was a lot missed that could have been incorporated very easily. Namely, I would have liked the ability to swap so that I could take whatever's on the bottom screen, put it on the top, and move the other one down. I don't always need to be looking at climate controls. That's not important to me. I don't always need to be looking at nav or looking at, say, the radio station or something. There's always something that is showing that you don't need. And then the other problem is that invariably you're going to have glare. So if you're driving in the winter, the sun's lower, it's shining in at a different angle, and you're going to have glare on one of those screens because they're not in the same position. They're moved, you know, and one of them's canted a little more than the other, trying to alleviate that as much as possible. But I still had glare, and that's true of every Infiniti with the dual screens. So even in the Q50 sedan and stuff. The Infiniti themselves and their driver handbook could have gone a little more into what the division was. You know, what the workload division between the screens was. I just didn't feel like it was presented well.
Wait, hold on a second. Are you suggesting that people should read the manual?
Sometimes.
It's a great idea. I mean,
You
they
should
make the
definitely
manual
read
for
the
a reason.
manual before you take something apart.
You should. You really should.
Sorry, dudes. It's the truth. So anyway, I did like, it's very comfortable. I really liked that.
Very
I really
comfortable.
liked the interior ambiance, the feel that it gives you. It's a very, very well-made vehicle. It just feels like it feels like a luxury vehicle. So it is a luxury vehicle, and it feels that way. And those are two things that don't always happen.
I agree. I agree. I think it lives up to the price. I can't remember what the price point is off the top of my head, but I think it's fairly priced for what you get.
I think when I drove it, it was at or right above 50.
Yeah, that sounds about
so
right.
50,000, and I think the just the drive quality was good. It's not as sporty as it used to be. It used to be really fast and quick, and always felt like it was waiting to turn the next corner. It's not like that as much anymore. But I felt like the engines and transmissions were well matched, so it just had a smooth feel,
I agree.
which is overall part of it.
It's been smoothed out a little bit. I think they took a file to the edges, if you will, of the feel. But I think it was a good move for this particular vehicle.
And I think the sales numbers have shown that it was a good move because it has gone up in sales. I think we both agree that overall the QX50 is a great luxury midsize, and the Quadrifoglio is awesome if you get the right package.
You've got to get the Quadrifoglio, and then you get the full Alfa treatment. I think it's really worth it.
So there we go.
That's what we got. This is Kristin.
This has been Aaron.
And this was the Drive Mode Show.
We almost synced.
Almost.
It was really
But not
close.
quite.